The Kleins and Richard Allen. What is the connection between these individuals, if any? A question that a lot of us have asked ourselves, particularly in recent times. So we've just got hold of the probable cause affidavit. There is a lot of discussion online regarding its contents, and in particular some of the vehicles mentioned in that document. I'm going to draw your attention to a vehicle that I believe could be connected to the Kleins, could have some relevance to the Delphi case. Let's take a look at the following paragraph here. He observed a purple PT Cruiser, or a small SUV type vehicle parked on the south side of the old CPS building. He stated it appeared as though it was backed in as to conceal the license plate of the vehicle. Now, one of the biggest points of discussion regarding the PT Cruiser is the fact that a purple Chrysler PT Cruiser does not really in any way, shape or form resemble the vehicle driven by Richard Allen, a black Ford Focus. And people that say that, to be honest, they do have a point. A PT Cruiser is a very distinct vehicle. It's got a very distinct front and rear end. And the colour purple is quite unique, isn't it? It's not particularly common to see a purple vehicle. So naturally people are saying, well, why has that appeared in this probable cause affidavit? A purple PT Cruiser does not resemble a black Ford Focus. What the hell is going on here? Anyway, a couple of weeks ago I should say, I got some information from somebody and they asked me to not say anything, to keep it quiet, which I have done. I'm very respectful if I ever get any sort of information. And I was told that Tony Klein's mother drove a purple PT Cruiser. And today that seems to have been confirmed again by a separate source who has come forward and said Tony Klein's mother had a picture of a purple PT Cruiser as the cover photo on her Facebook profile. So now that I've heard this news from two completely separate sources, and I've also seen a video online with my own eyes of a purple PT Cruiser parked at or very near Tony Klein's house, it doesn't seem beyond the realms of possibility that that vehicle could be involved somewhere. We also had talk, didn't we, just a little while ago, about a burn pit at Tony Klein's parents' house being investigated by law enforcement. We've had the discussion regarding Keegan Klein for some time now, discussion regarding Tony Klein, and also the prosecutor coming forward and saying, we believe others may be involved. There's other individuals out there. So are we putting the right pieces of the puzzle together when we look at this particular vehicle? Could this go to explain why the prosecutor came forward and said, look, we don't want this probable cause affidavit unsealed. We believe there's other individuals concerned here. Because when we all heard that news, when we heard those words, everybody, including myself, thought we must be looking at other names here. There's going to be a Tony Klein in here somewhere. There's going to be a Keegan Klein. There's going to be a Bob Smith or whatever. There's going to be a multitude of different people listed in this particular document. And that is why they do not want it unsealed. But then when we had the defence for Richard Allen come forward, and they said, well, the document's quite unremarkable actually. It just lists Richard Allen. There's no other names even listed in this document. I immediately thought, okay, this guy must be telling the truth. He has seen the document and at some point in time it's going to be released. So he's got no real reason to lie. And I really did just buy into it straight away. I thought, okay, well, we're just looking at Richard Allen here then. But was the concern of the prosecutor the mention of this unique vehicle? Not your regular everyday Ford Focus, but a very distinct vehicle, purple in colour, a PT Cruiser, Chrysler PT Cruiser. Was the fact that this is classed, I would say, as a fairly unique vehicle, were they concerned that that would tip off the person who was driving that vehicle on the day that these girls died? Now, regarding the Delphi murders, I've said for quite some time now that I do believe that there is a connection here between the Kleins and Richard Allen. Yet, every time we seem to get a little bit more information released, I do start to doubt that, and I'll be completely honest. I think with my videos, I tend to try and keep an open mind in terms of suspects and who may or may not be connected in this case. I don't just tend to hang my hat on one particular idea and try to make all the pieces of the puzzle fit. But I have to be honest here, every time we get a little bit of new information, I start to think to myself, have I got this wrong? Was this just a guy on his own? Someone who was waiting for the prime opportunity to live out his fantasy, if you will. Someone who liked hiking, who would probably hang around those kind of areas, waiting for the opportune time to strike. Is that what we're looking at here? But somewhere in the back of my mind, I cannot shake the idea or the belief that there is a connection here between the Kleins and Richard Allen. Another couple of pointers which tell me personally that we could be looking at least a couple of individuals involved here, 2, maybe 3 individuals involved in this crime, is the fact that we have these 3 juvenile females who give completely different descriptions of an individual. We've got one of these juveniles stating there was a man, he was wearing a blue jacket, a light blue jacket, light blue jeans, and another one of the group saying that she sees a male, black hoodie, black jeans, black boots. Now, as covered in a previous video, we know who likes to wear the colour black. We know that that's Keegan Klein, don't we? We know that Keegan Klein has spent a lot of time with law enforcement regarding this case, being questioned over and over again. Another reason I believe at least one individual is concerned here, possibly even at the crime scene itself, is that the picture that I have in my mind regarding this crime is that the girls crossed the creek, and at some point in time, one of those poor girls is going to be murdered. Most likely, the other individual is going to witness this. And I don't believe that's going to be an easy task, even if you have a handgun, even if you have a knife. I would imagine that if you see that happening, you would at least try and flee. No matter what happens, you would just try. And I know we're going to talk a lot about fight, flight, or freeze. It could be possible that these 2 poor girls just froze and, that was the end of it. But I get the impression that it wouldn't be that easy to contain 2 individuals. It wouldn't be that easy, even if you had a weapon such as a firearm. We also had the Ron Logan document, where an FBI agent stated quite clearly that there were no defensive type wounds on the girls. They didn't try and fight back. There was no defensive type wounds, which is quite telling, at least in my mind. I get the impression that at least one of these girls was subdued or possibly even restrained. And that's not an easy task for just one individual to carry out. Restraining 2 girls, being found with no defensive type wounds. As I say, I could be wrong here, but it's just the impression that I get, that there could be at least one individual present at the crime scene itself. We also have that really long time period, over an hour, where the killer was there, maybe trying to hide the bodies or posing the bodies, whatever. We also have the talk of this CSAM ring, or individuals who would share information and indecent material. We need to bear in mind that we're talking about very small communities here. People that were into that kind of stuff may well find a way to become acquainted with each other, to find out about each other, to share their fantasies with each other. Very, very small communities that we're talking about here. But overall, I would say that the biggest potential puzzle piece in all of this regarding a connection with the Kleins and Richard Allen could very well come in the form of that PT Cruiser, the purple PT Cruiser. If it does turn out to be the case that Tony Klein's mother drove a purple Chrysler PT Cruiser, I mean, what is the likelihood of everything that we've heard so far? The podcast, the television interviews with Keegan Klein, all of the interview with that individual regarding the CSAM, the Dropbox links, his dad being involved, logging in, logging out of the Anthony Shots account, speaking to the girls, speaking to Liberty German and her friends after the murder, saying that you were supposed to meet them there that day. We can't just ignore this, surely. As I say, if it does turn out to be the case that Tony Klein's mother drove that vehicle, and we have a completely independent witness here claiming that they see a purple PT Cruiser or something which closely resembles that car, to me that is very, very telling information.